So I woke up morning of, and like usual, I got up and I went to use the bathroom. And I had the most perfect timing because when I went to use the bathroom, I don't know if it was like a pop or I'm not gonna say it was a pop, it wasn't that intense, but it was like a little something. It was a little something. I don't know. But I felt it, and then I felt this extra gush of fluid just run out of my vagina. So, in my head, I'm like, did my water just break? I felt this extra gush of fluid just seeping out. And what I did was, I did a Kegel. If you don't know what a Kegel is, basically what you do is it's like you tighten your vagina muscle. And yeah, that's all it is. You just tighten it and then you let it loose. So that's what I did. So I tightened it up and then I let it loose and more fluid came out. So that was like, you know, that was the confirmation. I'm like, okay, my water just broke. So what I did was I walked around and then I called my mom. I said, well, I think my water just broke. And then I told her what happened. She's like pre-panicking already. She's putting on makeup, and I'm on the phone with my sister. We're cracking jokes in the background because we're like, "You're about to go to a hospital. What are you putting on makeup for? Like, who you finna bag you a doctor? Like, what are you doing?" So she finally gets herself together. She's rushing me, even though I'm already ready, and she's finally ready. So my two best friends, they roll in the car together. I rolled in the car with my mom. When I tell you, this lady was driving like she didn't have no sense. I was scared for my life and my child's life because like she ran two lights. She was speeding on the freeway. She was weaving in and out of traffic. I'm like, calm down. I'm like, the hospital's not that far. It's okay. We're gonna get there. We're gonna be safe. We need to be safe. Like, calm down. I'm on the phone with my sister. Like, can you please come get me? Because this lady is crazy. She's delusional right now. So we get to the hospital. We go to the front desk. Now, um, I did my hospital tour, and I was really interested in the Natural Birthing Center, and I was planning to go ahead and do that. I wanted to do. They had like these tubs that you could sit and you could labor in, and of course they had a like in the rooms had essential oils that they had lavender peppermint that just got dispersed into the room, and it was just this really calm, beautiful room. You had your own shower. You had I think it was a queen size bed or something like that. It was just this beautiful room. It was a beautiful space. It was the bomb, and that's where I wanted to go. But of course, when you first get there, you have to go on the traditional side to get monitored. You sit on the monitor for about 20 minutes. So at this point, I wasn't having any contractions. I was having them, but I wasn't feeling them. So when I was sitting and they were monitoring me, in my head, I'm like, oh, Brianna, they're going to send you home because, you can't even feel your contractions. They're going to be like, oh, it's not time. Just kidding. Take your butt back home. Like, I was scared. I was like, in my head, I'm like, can this baby please be coming because I'm not about to go back home. So the nurse comes back in the room and she's, telling me about my chart. And she told me I had like 3 or 4 contractions for the duration that I was back there. And I'm like, really? Like, I don't feel anything. I feel great. And she's like, no, she's like, I mean, they weren't terribly big, but you're definitely having contractions. I'm like, okay. So she gave me my gown. I changed into my gown. And I was just waiting for somebody to come and wheel me to my room. Now, because my water broke first, um, and I wasn't dilated. I was still, I think I was just 1 centimeter dilated, and I might have been 50% effaced, something like that. But I had been 50% effaced since like 36 weeks, so that wasn't anything new. But anyways, so because I wasn't dilated, I had to go on the traditional side. Usually they would just go ahead and roll you on over to the birthing center if you were at least 6 centimeters dilated. But because my water broke first, they just had to take extra precautionary. Or they just had to look at me a little bit more closely, just to make sure everything was gonna go okay. So I went to my room, and I mean, I was just sitting there. I was watching TV. I was fine. My aunt had got off work. She came over to the hospital. We had us a grand old time. We were talking, laughing. My nurses, all of them were extremely nice. Like this was the most comfortable setting ever. She tells me to call my doctor, so I call my doctor, and I speak to my midwife, and I tell her what happened, and I hate. They're like, "Well, are you sure it isn't just discharge?" No, it's not discharge. Like, I can definitely tell the difference between discharge. Like, I know my body. I've had it long enough. It's not discharge. So what they told me to do, they told me to wait anywhere between like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and they told me to put a pad on, and they said to give them a call back to basically see how everything's going, and if my pad was, they use the word soaking wet. They said if it was soaking wet, then to go ahead and head to the hospital. So I'm walking around. I'm talking to my mom. I'm double checking my hospital bag, making sure I'm all good to go. Um, I called my sister too, and yeah, I'm just waiting for this hour and a half to go by. Anyways, the hour and a half went by, and my pad was damp. It wasn't soaked, but it was it was damp. Like you could tell something was kind of trickling out. And what was happening with me was like I think I used the bathroom maybe 2 more times after that before the time was up or whatever. And the same thing would happen. It was like I would use the bathroom, and then it was like some more fluid would just come out. And that's the only time it would come out, when I was like sitting on the toilet. If I was up and walking around, it was like only small amounts of it was coming out. But like when I sat down and to use the bathroom, like that's when it would gush out. And the majority of it is like when I wiped, that's when I would get the majority of it out was when I was wiping. But I called my doctor back and I let her know, like, hey, my pad is damp. And she said, well, okay, go ahead and head to the hospital. So my mom, she is a wreck. She's nervous all over the place. She's worse than I was. She's upstairs. She was like trying to figure out what to wear. Like the nurse was very engaged. They were very, very sweet and very kind, and I really appreciated that because later on, I was gonna need that. Maybe been 5 hours since my water broke. Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, cause my water broke at 11:18. It was at least 4 o'clock, and that's when I started feeling my contractions. They weren't terrible. I'm not gonna say they hurt at all. Like I could feel them. They didn't hurt, but I was noticing them, and the way, excuse me, the way my contractions were working, it was like they were back to back. Like how you read or your app or your doctor, they'll tell you, when you have a contraction, it's like you'll have a contraction, you'll have a peak, and then it's like you'll have like a resting point. You won't really feel anything. That's not how my contractions were going. It was like I would contract, peak, contract, peak, contract, peak. Like I didn't have any breaks in between. But once again, it wasn't painful. So by the time we got to, I'm gonna say around 6 o'clock, 6:30 ish, almost 7. Um, the doctor checked me, and I was 4 centimeters dilated. Um, so things were moving pretty quickly in my head. And I'm pretty sure that was because of the way I was contracting. Um, but I was walking around. I had a birthing ball. I was, rotating my hips, and they brought me some lavender, and the room smelled nice, and my friends were cracking jokes, and my mom was sleepy and nervous, so she was cracking jokes too. It was a grand old time. Um, I'll say another 2 hours go by, and in that 2 hours, that's when my contractions started to get a little bit more intense. Like, once they weren't 10 out of 10 painful, but they were intense. Like I would have to kind of woosah, calm down, and feel that contraction, and then go back to whatever I was doing. Okay, so now my contractions were still very constant, like back to back, constant. But I think at this point I might have gotten. They checked me, and I might have gotten to 6 centimeters. Once I got to 6 centimeters, um, I'm not gonna say it like plateaued, but it slowed down. My dilation process slowed down, and as it slowed down, it's like my contractions, rather than freak out, because you really do not want to, when you are in labor, you want to stay as calm as possible. You want to focus on your breathing, and you want to really just get into a space where you're recognizing what's going on with your body, but you're not letting it put you in a state of fear or panic, because it's only going to make the contractions worse. So what you want to do is you want to just breathe, you want to stay calm, whatever you have to do to keep yourself in your happy place while this process is going on, then that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you do that. So that's what I did. I asked my nurse if she could bring some peppermint essential oil. She brought that to me. I kind of just whiffed it. Excuse me. I kind of just whiffed it. And at this point, I was, like I said, I was still in my exercise ball. I was breathing. I would close my eyes. I didn't really worry about engaging with my friends or my family. I kind of just focused on me. I had to. I had to set myself up for the rest of this process. So I would close my eyes, and I would just focus, and I would breathe, and yeah, I did my thing, and it was cool. Like it was really cool. Probably I say about 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock this time now, and I think I got to. No, I was still at 6 centimeters. My contractions were bad. Like they would come, and I would like squinch up, and I was like, it was really hard for me at this point to, I'm not gonna say stay calm, but because I was pretty calm, like I was doing pretty good, even for as intense as they were, I was still doing really really good. But at this time, I just needed, I guess, something to take the edge off. So of course the doctor came, or not the doctor, my nurse came in, and she told me my options. I forgot what the medication was called. It wasn't an epidural, but basically it was like a. They said it was like something to take the edge off. It was like something for pain. Um, they did advise me, because, like I said, I wanted to go to the Carmano Center. But the thing is, when you go to the Carmano Center, um, you go, and they don't have you hooked up to a monitor. So with me debating if I wanted to have that medication or not, when they give you that medication, you have to stay hooked up to the monitor. So, my nurse was telling me, she said, okay, this is an option for you. You can choose that, but I want you to know, if you do take this medication, this decreases your chances of going over to the Carmano Center. So I kind of waited it out. I think I may have waited maybe 20, 30 minutes. But my contractions were intense, and I said, no, I need something to take the edge off. So they gave me the medication. Like I said, I can't remember what that one was called. But then they had to keep me hooked up to the monitor. And I think previously, because my contractions were constant, they had taken me off the monitor. So I was free to, that's why I was free to kind of roam around a little bit. But once I got that medication, they put me back on the monitor just to make sure, baby's okay. So I got the medication, and that worked maybe an hour. I'm, I'm in pain. Let me just keep it real with you. I'm in pain. Um, I couldn't walk around anymore. I couldn't sit on my exercise ball. I could not at this point. And like I said, I didn't even get any sleep the night before, and I've been up since 11 o'clock. Like I'm going on 12 hours here. I'm tired. This baby isn't here yet. This medication is wearing off, and my body hurts. So that's all that's going through my head. But I'm trying to keep it calm, cool, and collected. I don't want to tense up, because when you tense up, that can slow the process down as well. So I would sit down on the bed, and my nurse, she was so sweet. She's like, okay, well, you want to try moving around? I'm like, girl, sorry, can't do it. My body hurt. So I would like set the bed to different settings. At one point, I was sitting in the bed, like the bed, like it's laid down, but it had like a button, and it's like the bed is like this. So my back is against this part, and it's like I'm just sitting in a chair, pretty much like a big chair. So that was very comfortable for me. So I would sit, and I would straddle my legs, and I would kind of just, sway back and forth and try to stay calm. But not only are these contractions bad at this point, but they're still coming really constant. They're still coming back to back to back to back. So I had no breaks. My body is moving, and at this point, it's either I had to catch up or just get left behind. So I'm just trying to do what I can do to stay calm or whatever. But I believe around this time it might have been 11 or maybe midnight, or maybe a little bit later. I moved to 7 centimeters, and I'm darn near crying. Like, I'm like, what is going on? Like, this hurts. I'm like, grunting. I'm moaning. I'm like, being vocal, because that's what was making me feel better. I couldn't just hold it in and be collected. I said, no, I need to be vocal. I need to express some of this pain, because it's helping me at this point. My friends, God bless them. My mother, God bless her. My aunt, God bless her. My nurses, God bless her. Like, they were really helping me. They were really just encouraging me. Like, when I tell you, my one friend, like, my friends made sure I had ice chips. She at one point was like bringing me a cup so I can drink it. Like, oh my gosh, like, I'm tearing up just thinking about it, because it was beautiful. Like, that space and that support that I had, I wouldn't have had it any other way, because it was beautiful. My nurse, like, I would have a contraction, and she would just let me lean on her shoulder, and she would rub and massage my back. Like, it was just beautiful. I had just a room full of women embracing me. I had my two aunts who obviously have gone through childbirth. I think I was 9 centimeters. My two friends, who were just really great friends, they were just making sure I was comfortable. They were rubbing my back, rubbing my feet. Like, it was beautiful. Like, that was just a really beautiful moment for me, and that really helped set the tone for the rest of the night, because when I felt like I was at my breaking point, like when I felt like I just can't go on any longer, they were right there behind me, just encouraging me, letting me know that I was doing really, really good, and just there to help me when I needed help. Like, it was amazing. It was so beautiful, and I'm so thankful that I had that, because that is what. Yeah, so shout out to them for having my back, because that's love them. So around 1 a.m., um, I was in a lot of pain. My nurse, she suggested that I go and sit in the shower. So I did. I got up. Um, my French fries, she came with me, and I just ran my head under the shower, like my whole body. At first, like this is how much pain I was in. Like at first, well, first of all, no, I couldn't even walk. First of all, like I would try to walk, it felt like my bones were breaking. Like it was bad. It felt, and I'm laughing because when I was going through it, like this was not a laughing matter. But now that you sit back and you think about it, and you're like, oh ha ha, it's kind of funny. It's funny, but it's not. But whatever. But I can't even walk. Like I'm like, you want me to do what? You want me to stand up? Like, no. But I get up, I wobble very slowly to the bathroom. I or my nurse turns the shower on for me, and she tells my friend, she said, okay, well, just kind of standing here and make sure she's okay. I go to get in the shower, and I'm in so much pain. I'm like, okay, I want to get in the shower, but like the water drops. Like that was even painful initially when I was trying to get into the shower. But I kind of eased myself in there, and it felt really nice. So I sat in there for as long as I could. I just let the water, run all over me. It calmed me down. But of course, like my contractions were constant the entire time. And that was the most annoying thing for me. It was like I just did not have any type of break. I had no type of release at all, because literally from the moment I first started feeling my contractions throughout the entire thing, they were constant. So I was in the shower, but I wasn't in there too long, because I could barely stand up. Like, I mean, it was to the point where if I had to sit and use the bathroom, I would have contractions. I would probably have, and it doesn't take you long to use the bathroom, so mind that. But I would have at least 3 contractions while trying to use the bathroom. So every time that I had to get up and use the bathroom, like I was hella annoyed, because I'm like, I can't even pee right. Like I would pee and I would have to like hold it in because I'm having a contraction. Like that's annoying. So, anyways, I got a dry gown back on. I wobbled back to my bed, and I just sat there, and I mean, there was nothing else I could do. I sat there, the contractions was happening, I was trying to wave back and forth. That stopped working at some point. I was just screaming. Um, yeah, I'm screaming. I think it had to be like 3 other moms on the floor with me. And it was like I would hear one lady screaming in the hallway. I heard this other lady scream out. And then I was screaming. Like we was all just, we were vocal, okay? We were vocal that day. That floor was lit up. So, it's around 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm in pain. Come to find out, the reason why my contractions are so bad is because my little angel was turned sideways. So, let's go back. I think 2 weeks before I went into labor, I find out that my daughter is facing my spine. So she was head down, but she was facing my spine. So like I would do, what you call it? I would rock my hips back and forth, and I thought, or at least I was told, that I had turned her around by doing that. No. If I did turn her around, this girl had turned back around. She's stubborn. Okay? My child is stubborn. So that's what my doctor basically, that's what she tells me. She's feeling around. She's like, okay, well, she's head down, but in the midst of it, she's turned sideways. So it's like, okay, this is your pelvic girdle, right? So of course, your baby has to, zoop through the pelvic girdle. So because she was turned sideways, it's like her shoulders were hitting the front and the back of my pelvic girdle. And that's why my contractions were horrendous. Because it's like I was contracting and she was trying to, shimmy on out, but she's turned the wrong way. So it's like, my body is passing her along, but not really, because basically she's stuck. So that's why I was in so much pain. So my doctor told me, they had me lie on my side, and they tried to like move her to get her to turn the right way. So it's now 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember when she turned. I don't think she did turn. I think just the entire time, just right up until I was just about to start pushing. She was turned sideways. So hours beforehand, I had already said, I said, look, I'm not going to the natural center because my contractions were too bad. It was like, I wanted to go, but, life happened. It's okay. I came to terms with it. It's all right. So, my doctor comes in and she tells me, she checked my cervix and I was 8 centimeters dilated. And at that point, I kind of took back and I kind of thought, I said, okay, well, I know at some point it's going to be too late for me to ask for epidural. And I really did not want an epidural. Like, I was so against epidurals. I said, no, I don't want them. I'm not about to, possibly harm my child because I'm in pain, yada, yada, yada. You don't know till you get there. And my main reasoning behind getting an epidural was simply because I was so exhausted. Like, I was so tired. There was no way that I was going to be able to push my daughter out. I was too tired. My body, everything. I needed, my contractions are still constant. I said, I need some type of rest. So, my doctor came in. When she came in, I told her, I said, okay, well, I want an epidural. They ordered me the epidural. Everybody had to leave the room, except for one person. So my mom stayed in the room with me, and they they had to sit me up and get the bed right. So once the anesthesiologist came into the room, they could basically just do their job and then go. So the nurse is telling my mom where to stand, and she's telling me like how to sit, and my mom is standing right in front of me. I just laid on her chest and I cried because, like I said, I didn't want the epidural, but I was so tired. I had to put my ego to the side and I had to say, okay, well, you know what, Brianna, your baby is coming and you need to have some type of energy so you can push your child out. So I cried, but it was okay. The anesthesiologist, plus I'm scared of needles. Oh my God, like I'm deathly afraid of needles. So the anesthesiologist comes in, he cleans my back, he puts, the protective whatever and everything on my back. I didn't even feel it. I was so happy. I was so relieved. I didn't even feel it. It's like he put the needle in, and of course they tell you that you have to be really, really still. He put the needle in, And that was it. He gave me the epidural. He said, all right, you're all set. And I was like, really? Like, I was very happy. I was excited. So, when I tell you, as soon as I got the epidural, I laid down and I went to sleep. Like, I was out. It took less than 60 seconds. Like, I was out. And that was the best hour of sleep I've gotten ever. Um, so, let me see. It's around 6:30 in the morning. That's when I woke up. My friends came back in the room and they some troopers. Like they were with me that entire time. Because at this point, what's that, like 18 hours, I think? At this point, I've been in labor for like 18 hours. And they had a little cat nap as well. So they came back in the room and I sat up and yeah, back to these contractions. Now, when I got the epidural, I'm not gonna say I was completely numb because it's like you still kind of feel pressure. So it's like I could tell when I was having a contraction. It wasn't as painful as it was before, obviously, but I mean it was still kind of painful. But that's okay. I had my hour of sleep. I was energized. I was ready to go. So my doctor checked me again. I was 9 centimeters. That was just beautiful. And at this point, um, the other two nurses who helped with the delivery portion, they came in and basically they're getting the room ready, to go. So, like I said, the epidural, you're numb, but it's like you still feel like what's going on in your cervix and your vagina and everything. So, like I can still tell when I'm having contractions. They're kind of painful. It was nowhere near what it was before, but I think I was more so annoyed. Not annoyed, but I guess I was just ready to be over with. Cause at this point I'm almost 24 hours in. Okay, that's a long time. So Taya comes back. She checks my cervix, and I'm 10 centimeters, ready to go. Everything's set up. We're good to go. So my French fry, she grabs my right leg, and then one of the nurses, she grabs my left leg. They just tell me push. And I'm pushing. I mean, I'm pushing really hard. And the way I was pushing, it was um, like I would hunch up really good, and then I would push towards. Cause when they tell you to push, they tell you to push like you're pooping. So that's what I was doing, but it was like I was really visualizing where I was pushing, and I think that really helped me give good, healthy pushes. Um, in my theory, I think that's what happened because my mom, like the doctors, like everybody, they're like, you're pushing really good. And especially, this is my first time. They're like, you're pushing really, really, really good. So I'm pushing. I'm taking my breaths. When I feel a contraction, I'm just, let's go because I'm ready to see my child. I'm ready to be over with. Um, the pushing process goes on, and I'm getting towards the end. I don't know if it's towards the end yet, but I'm kind of getting exhausted again. And in this moment, I'm kind of not necessarily discouraged, but I'm tired. I am. But like I said, here goes the room full of beautiful, encouraging women. They're encouraging me, like, keep pushing, don't get tired. You know, at this point, my wife, she has my leg. My friend, my French fry, she's like all up in, like she all down there. She's looking. She's like, look at the head. We see the head. Her hair is right here. She's like, come on, Brianna, you almost there. Like she's literally right there. Like everybody's just rooting and cheering, and that was, once again, it was so uplifting, and that, like I said, that just really set the tone for me. So I'm pushing. I'm near tears, but I'm pushing because I just want to be done. And Taya, she took my hand and she's like, "Feel, you can feel your baby's head." And I reached down and I feel her little soft spot, and I'm like mid tears and mid yell, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's right there." It was like I would do double pushes. It's like, okay, like I was a little bit slower in the beginning, but at this point I'm like, okay, she's almost here. I'm like, let me push. I pushed, and then the last time I pushed, and then I pushed again. Like I pushed right after because I'm like, I feel like I want to push. I'm like, I asked Tay, I'm like, can I push? And she's like, if you feel like you can push, push. So I pushed, and she just slid out, and I felt her sliding out. And I kind of get like I didn't give up, but it's like I took a breath. But she was out enough, and then my doctor, she finished sliding her out. Oh, I forgot to tell you. When she was pushing her out, like when her head, like when she was crowning, um, she took some olive oil and she like, put around that area, to help with tearing and stuff, and so she'll slide on up out of there. But yeah, she slid on out. She cried maybe one time, and that was it. And then I looked up, and my baby is on my chest, and I'm like, with this beautiful creature who I just spent 41 weeks, you know, baking in the oven. She's finally here. This long drawn out pregnancy is finally over. Now I get to start mommyhood. Everyone in the room is crying. Like, my doctor had even teared up. My friends are crying. My mom is in shock. I'm in awe because my daughter is here. And like I said, she cried like maybe twice, and then she was so quiet. And it's like they put her in my arms, and she was just looking at me, and I was looking at her, and she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She still is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I just felt this extreme amount of warmth just wash over my entire body. That whole room had this very positive, loving vibe. And you felt it. Like, you felt it in the hallways. Like, other doctors came in and they were like complimenting my friends and my family because they heard them. They heard them in the hallway. They heard how, everybody was just, keep pushing, Brianna, keep going. She's almost here. You're doing such a good job. You're so strong. She's almost here. You had doctors coming in like, well, who's in here? Like, who are these people? And like, they wanted them in the room with them or with other moms, helping cheer them on, because that's just what the intention was. Like, the whole room, it was just nothing but positivity. It was nothing but love. It was nothing but embracefulness. It was everything you would want while you're in such a vulnerable state, while you're in so much pain, while you're waiting for your baby to get here. It was everything you would have ever wanted. And I had that in my room. And it was the most beautiful experience I've ever experienced in my life. Like, every tear, every cry, every, bone-breaking contraction is completely worth it. And they helped me through that because my daughter was there. And it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. Like, I have no other words for it other than it was beautiful. It was grounding. It was amazing. It really was. It was completely worth it. I swore I would not be in labor past 6 hours. Like, I would watch labor and, other birthing videos, and I would see maybe, okay, I was in labor for 6 hours. I was in labor for 10 hours. I seen one lady, she was in labor for 2 days. I swore up and down that wasn't going to be me. I'm like, no, my labor is going to be 6 hours. Wrong. You know, with the epidural, no, I'm not getting the epidural. Wrong. I'm going to give a water birth. Wrong. Like, and with that being said, you know, soon to be mommies, if I were to give any advice, I would say when it comes to your labor, I feel like don't don't go in or don't hype yourself up, you know, setting a bar with um, expectations, because the way your body works, the way your baby works, the way, I mean, life works in general, 10 times out of 10, it's not going to go how you think. It's not going to go, you know, as planned. Everything that's supposed to happen is going to happen the way it needs to happen. So, and I know that was one of the things that was kind of getting me, especially with like the epidural. Um, that was one of the reasons why I laid and I cried on my mom, because, like I said, I didn't want the epidural. And I didn't want to be in a position where I was resenting myself for doing something that I really didn't plan on doing. So, you know, but at the end of the day, it was written out that way. I had to. That's the way my labor was supposed to go. That's the way it went. And you know, all in all, my daughter is here, and she got here safely. Um, I was able to pull through and do and be everything that I needed to be to get her here, and that's all that matters. So, you know, I would say just to really, you know, take it as it is. Labor and even motherhood, just take it as it is. I mean, that's how it's supposed to go for you. You know, don't overthink. Well, you know, I want to do this, but it's not going this way. Don't stress about it. It is what it is. And yeah, your baby, you know, main thought is make sure your baby is here safe. But yeah, that's my labor and delivery story. Um, I know this video is long. Sorry, but I had a long labor. I had a lot of thoughts. If you sat and watched through the entire thing, thank you. I just really wanted to share my thoughts on it before I completely forgot, you know, majority of the details. This is, you know, I'm 6 months postpartum, pretty much. My daughter would be 6 months on Thursday. So I really wanted to get this video out beforehand, but like I said, life happens. So I just got it out when I could.